As another week of democracy and saving Super-Earth comes to a close, we've got another batch of tips to help you get better at Helldivers 2 to take on those harder missions that are kicking your butt. My name's Glorious Mischief, and here are 10 tips and hacks that you need to know to save democracy like the Superearther that you are. The first new tip that I discovered this week is the cannon glitch. Cannons are scattered across the maps and are one of the optional objectives that you're going to face across many of your missions. Now, if you're like me and most other players, you've probably been slowly walking to the cannons as bugs just slowly chomp your heels off and die. Especially if you're playing solos, these cannon missions are brutal. My buddy here is showing you just how slow loading those guns can be.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Luckily, there's a shortcut that you can take. By interacting with the ammo back and forth, by putting it down and picking it up, just like back in Halo, you can quickly scoot yourself across the map over to that cannon and load it up in about half the time. Especially for those longer distances when they're in the bunkers or any other places. This is a huge time saver, especially in those bug missions where you're just constantly trying to get away from them and trying to load up the gun at the same time. And if you're on a higher difficulty, this is essentially impossible, especially in solos. So, pick them up, put them down, pick them up, put them down. Let's do it. It's way faster. My second tip for you is blue icons. Now you probably know on your minimap and on your HUD in the compass above that you have a little blue icon that pops up when you're near an optional objective. These optional objectives can be the cannons like mentioned before, or even hunter dens. Essentially, these blue icons are essential portions to your mission for gaining maximum XP possible. Now, did you know that if you put down a pin on one of these random locations, like a bug nest or anything like that, that if it's one of these optional objectives, a little blue icon will appear in your nav up top. This is an easy way of finding the spaces that you have to hit instead of just going around and trying to find them by hand. Save yourself a bunch of time and find those optional objectives quicker by simply tagging them and figuring out which ones are important. Now this is one that a lot of people know, but I've seen a lot of people not know this as well. When you hold reload, you get a little screen that pops up that shows you a bunch of customizable options for each gun. This can be range, burst fire type, the specific type of scope that you're utilizing. It's really important to customize this to fit your playstyle so that you can actively use your weapons in a more meaningful way. This is going to save you a ton of time by utilizing the weapon in the way that you like to, especially if you need to get out of those sticky situations quickly. Finding the optimal way to farm samples is crucial, especially when you hit mid-game and late game. You want to be able to upgrade your orbital stratagems as quickly as possible, and to do that, you're gonna need these samples. The best way to farm these samples is generally to do some of the higher level missions. You don't need to go too crazy here. Go on the lowest end of the missions that are going to give you the resources that you want and start farming them up. There are a few missions that are better for that, but for me personally, my favorite mission is the Close All Bug Nests one. You get to go around and you can quickly kind of make your way through without too much of a threat to you. This in turn makes it so that you can quickly go across the entire map, gaining quick XP while also farming a good amount of samples. I generally gain 10 to 20 regular samples, 10 rare samples, and 5 super samples doing these missions. For the super samples, you don't need too many of them to upgrade, so don't worry too much about gathering them. You're going to get them slowly over time. Just make sure that when you are going into these higher level missions that you're actively seeking them out. You're going to find them on these big gray rocks here that have the veining running across them. They're pretty easy to find, so when you see them, make sure you go straight for it and pick them up. Stalkers are easily one of the most dangerous bugs that you're going to come across in all of your missions. These bugs are fast, they're grumpy, they've got massive amounts of tongues, and they knock you down, and they just keep coming after you. They don't have a ton of defense, but what they do have is a ton of offense. These guys are going to knock you down, burn you into the ground. I mean, it's brutal when you have a couple of them coming at you. Not to mention the fact that they can be almost completely invisible, especially when you're on a chaotic battlefield. So, when you see a stalker coming your way, make sure you take notice of what direction it's coming from. These stalkers have a direct A-B line pathing, and so where they're coming from is exactly where their nest is. Try to track them back and take care of them as quickly as you can. These stalkers are going to be a nightmare to deal with, so get them out of the way right away and don't let them accrue. These stalkers will just keep on spawning until you take them out, so the sooner you can do it, the better. Now, if you've been playing Helldivers 2 like I have, chances are that you know that there is one mission that rises above them all and is the best possible mission for gaining experience. I'm talking, of course, about the Kill 'Em All Mech missions. This mission is sweet, and in about 5 minutes, you can easily gain about 1,000 XP at higher levels. Simply do this by going in with some friends, a bunch of turrets, and just drop them down. You can sit back and let your turrets take care of everyone, or you can actively engage, but there's an even better option that you're not taking advantage of right now. There are samples scattered across this map. According to most of them, it's about 10 to 11 samples. You can easily gather about 7 of them without ever batting an eye. These samples are quick and easy to gather, and over the course of the 5 minutes it's going to take you to destroy all the mechs, you've got 7 samples. Compare that to about the 30 to 40 minutes it takes you to run through some of these higher level missions, and you've got a really, really good win ratio there. So I hate to say it, but go ahead and do this mission because it's going to be great XP and it's going to be great sample. Also, for any of you haters out there, leaving that mission so that you can run it again and again and again and again does not affect planetary control. So don't worry, you can leave that mission so you can do it again and again. No one's going to care and no one's going to be the wiser. So don't be hating on people who are leaving. A lot of the battlefield is pretty chaotic in this game, and if you are constantly finding yourself overrun by bugs or mechs, you can have a hard time succeeding in even mid-level missions. If that's you, I highly recommend going into your FOV and expanding it. This FOV is usually set at about 60, but you can set it to 90. And if you're running a computer or a PS5, it can easily handle this upgrade and expansion. So don't worry, you're not going to be experiencing any dips in frame rate, at least I haven't, and the FOV is pretty nice. I personally don't mind it at the 60, but if you're finding yourself having a hard time, expand it out to 90 and give it a shot. It'll help those creatures that are just sneaking up on you, and especially from behind and from the sides, and you can easily take them out without getting killed over and over and over and over and over and over and over. For this next one, it's not so much a tip as it is peace of mind for everyone. If you didn't know, samples are shared across the team. That's right. No need to get grumpy when you die because either one of your friends blew you up or something else did, and someone else comes in and grabs your samples for you. Those samples count to you. No worries. Don't get mad. Don't yell at people. It's ridiculous. I had someone yell at me the other day because I picked up their sample and I was like, brother, you're gonna get them. Congratulations. I did you a favor. So make sure that you're not yelling at these people and pick up samples. Anyone who picks up samples are being helpful to the team, and give your buddies a hug on the way out so that they know you mean business. There are 2 majorly different playstyles in this game. When you're fighting the bugs, you need to be playing in a certain direction, and when you're fighting the mechs, you have to play completely differently. When you're going on a bug mission, the best way to stay ahead of the bugs is by staying mobile. Having a pretty aggressive loadout here is totally fine, and if you're finding yourself getting overrun by the small ones, take yourself a little dog backpack, and it'll clear out a lot of those lower end minions for you, so you don't even have to worry about it. All you have to do if you start getting overwhelmed is simply move. Just move on, turn around, and you've got 30-40 yards between you and most bugs. Make sure that you do this before they all swarm onto you because it's basically impossible to get out of there once they do. So just stay mobile, keep moving, and stay active. This, partnered with good stratagems and techniques, will generally get you through most of the bug missions, so don't worry so much about trying to find the best vantage point or anything like that, although it can be helpful. Just try to stay mobile, try to keep moving, and keep going. Mechs are the polar opposite to the bug playstyle. For mechs, you need to stay stationary, stay in cover, try to hide behind walls, use the rocks. Rocks can't be broken. They're the best things ever in the game. I'm not even joking. Hide behind rocks is great, especially considering that most of the mechs have long-range weapons that do a ton of damage to you. Rocks are your best friends when it comes to mechs. So stay hidden behind them, peek out, pepper them, peek back in, and you're good. Another crucial thing when you're dealing with mech missions is to know their weaknesses. A lot of the higher end mechs like tanks and hulks have exhaust plates on their backs. This is their weakness. Go for it, shoot it up, blow it up, whatever you need. Use your explosives, use all of your weapons, just destroy it. These exhaust vents are the best points of weakness for them, so go straight for it. For the remaining of the mechs, shoot their heads and it pretty much just explodes right on impact. So go after those heads and you're gonna be golden. I don't know about you guys, but I have been loving Helldivers 2. I've been playing almost every night with a bunch of buddies, and usually I've got a full 4 stack going on, and it's so fun to hang out with people again and just do this. I feel like online gaming has been really dead for a long time, and Helldivers is really bringing it back to form. It makes me feel like we're back in Halo days where we're all getting together and playing. I've been loving it, and all of my friends have been loving it, so I hope that you guys are too. And if you want to stay up to date on Helldivers tips and news soon, I'm going to be pumping out news too this week. Make sure you stay tuned in, hit me with a subscribe, hit me with a like, and make any suggestions you want to know. If something's bothering you, just let me know and I'll cover it. But for right now, I'm loving this game, and I hope you guys are too, and I'll see you on the Democratic battlefield, boys.
out.